Don't take it personally. Management decided that all violence against Israelis is legitimate resistance. So sorry.
My daughter has been kidnapped. Please help.
Sure, just before we get started, are either of you Israeli? On October 7th, Hamas terrorists brutally raped Israeli women and children before murdering them. There is no justification for rape and sexual violence. Rape is not resistance.
Yes, not the first, not the second, not the third time I'm watching this video, and still every time I knew it hits again. And this clip is part of a greater social media movement now, if you will, that is taking over, and rightfully so. Thankfully, that's the case. And we're joined here in studio by Noa Matz, Strategy and Development Manager, who started the Me Too Unless You're a Jew campaign online. Noa, thank you very much for coming in studio first and foremost. How did it all start? Were you involved in women's activism beforehand, or did it all start post October 7th?
Well, me myself, I was involved with women's rights movements only when I was younger, and what happened to us on October 7th, I think it gave us all a push towards the understanding that we need to take care of ourselves.
Right.
And our Me Too Unless You're a Jew online global campaign started by Daniel Ofik, our founder, right after October 7th. And it happened after women were brutally, I'm sorry to say this again, we've heard this, brutally murdered, raped, abused, kidnapped, and are still being held hostage in Hamas hands in Gaza. And we targeted UN Women as a sub-organization of the UN, which you would expect that as an organization that is globally protesting and defending women's rights all over the world, you would expect they would support Israeli women that were victims of Hamas, as they do for the women in Gaza that are victims of Hamas.
Right.
But unfortunately, this is not the case. This is not the case. And the hashtag #MeToo Unless You're a Jew, in some way, it encapsulates this situation that Israeli women's rights and Israeli women's bodies and souls and physical safety are not as precious as other women's.
As simple as that, when it comes to Israeli or Jewish women, their well-being is before everything else, and after all else is political. There's no this alliance of women, this global sisterhood, simply does not exist when we're talking about Israeli women. How do you explain that?
Unfortunately, we see this. We see that Israeli women, Jewish women, are not as important to the global community as other women, and specifically the UN women. They have only in their Instagram account 2 million followers, only in their Instagram account. And you can see that the coverage that they're providing in their Instagram account and other forms of publications are extremely one-sided and are causing huge damage for Israel, but specifically for the women that are still being held hostage in Gaza.
And there's this ongoing debate, this frustration of trying to convince those who will never be convinced, those who have their twisted perception and will stay that way. And yet it is important not to give up the fight. What feedback are you getting on this online campaign?
We get huge support. We got only in 24 hours hundreds of clicks and petition signatures, and it's still ongoing. And we need more support.
Right.
We need support from the global communities. We need obviously financial support, and first and foremost, we want to give a message to the world that this is not Israel's problem. Because when the international criminal law is specifically saying that terrorizing women sexually abusing women is not warfare, and it's prohibited. And I don't expect Hamas terrorists, Hamas animals, to work with this statement, obviously. But I do expect women's rights organization, I do expect UN Women to take a stand and try to do something when women are being vandalized like this.
Yes, me too, unless you're a Jew. For all our viewers who want to get your hashtag and support the cause online, just search it Instagram, TikTok, right? It's there. It's all over, and you can be part of spreading it. Noa Matz, Strategy and Development Manager at Me Too Unless You're a Jew campaign. Can't believe I'm saying it, but these things need to be said nowadays. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much,
Thank you
Ellie.
for coming.